Welcome to the Greg Dwyer Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio with your host, motivational speaker Greg Dwyer. Be sure to check out Greg at www.gregdwyer.com. That's www.gregdwyer.com. Now on to our show. Take it away, Greg.
What if a movie was made about your life in 2021? What would that movie be called? Interesting question. So today we're going to talk about outcomes. We're going to talk about goals for 2021. But I just want you to think about that just for a moment. If someone came in and said, we want to write a story, we want to write a screenplay, we want to write a movie about your life from January 2021, today is what, the 3rd, all the way to the end, December 31st, the end of the year, New Year's Eve, what would be the title of the movie? You know, when screenwriters sit down to write a script, they often come up with the one-liner. They often come up with the end of the movie first. A lot of times when they shoot a movie, I've been on a few movie sets, they don't shoot it chronologically. You know, you think, okay, this is where Harry meets Sally, and, you know, that's the first scene. A lot of times they'll shoot that scene out of sync. It doesn't matter because they're going to put the movie together. But before any of that happens, someone has to figure out how the movie's going to end. And a lot of times when a person writes a movie script or a book or a story for that matter, they don't necessarily begin with once upon a time. They begin with the ending and how everything is going to get cleared up and everything's going to be well and the guy gets the girl and the person wins the money or whatever the story is. Or I guess in some cases it's a tragic story. So, you know, I've been at movies like that. You're watching the movie and there's no happy ending. I mean, it ends in a tragic way and you think, oh wow, that's 2.5 hours I'm never going to get back, right? But what if you thought of your life that way? Now, the reason I say this is because a lot of people have New Year's resolutions, you know, or at least they think they should have resolutions. Only about 2% of the population get past the month of February and are still actually on track towards whatever it is, which is usually this time of year people are thinking about weight loss, right? Or they're thinking about finances, or they're thinking about their career, whatever it is. But very few people follow through. One way to be able to follow through when you're writing a screenplay or you're writing, well, let's just take writing a book. I was listening to somebody talk about this the other day. How do you write a book? Well, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I was listening to this guy talking about writing a book, and he goes, well, you have to figure out how many pages your book's going to be, how many words are going to be on a page, right? And then you break it down to the ridiculous so that you have a schedule. So every single day you write 1,200 words. Your goal is to write 1,200 words. You do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And the next week you do the same thing. And then in 3 months you're going to hit your goal. In 6 months you're going to hit your goal. In 9 months, and then, 12 months you're going to hit your goal. A lot of times when people say they're going to write a book, they never have the intention of writing a book because they haven't begun with the end in mind. They haven't figured out how the book's going to end, and they haven't figured out how many pages or how many words it's going to be. Do you know how simple it would be to write a book? What if I told you that all you had to do is write 1 page a day? It's 365 days in the year. Let's say you're going to write a 365-page book. You say, how hard is that? It's not that hard. All you have to do is sit down and write 1 page a day. The discipline of doing that would get you a book in a year, beginning with the end in mind. A lot of times people get fed up or they quit because they're like, oh no, I have to do this again. I got to floss my teeth again. I got to pay off my credit card again. I got to lose weight again, and they get caught up in the minutia of the whole thing. It's because they don't have a strong enough purpose in the back end to pull them. Imagine sitting down with a writer or with a group of people putting on a movie, and the guy comes in on Monday and says, no, I've changed the ending. Yeah, the boy is not going to get the girl. He's going to do something else, or he's going to die in the end of cancer, and it's going to be a love story. It's going to be tragic, tragic story. I mean, you would drive people crazy because you're working every single scene for one purpose, and that one purpose is to get to the end. So let me begin with the end, how I started this. What if a movie was made about your life? Your life, not my life, your life in the year 2021, what would the movie be called? Well, one way we could play around with this is, what if a movie was made about your life in 2020? I bet you could come up with a title for that, right? Because the year's over, right? 2020, the good news about 2020 is it's over. So you look back at it and you go, all right, this is how I had my year. This is how things unfolded. If it was going to be a movie title about your life in 2020, could you come up with a title? I bet you'd come up with a title immediately, really quick and fast, because you're looking to the past. It's easy. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe off the top of my head, I'd call my movie Faith Conquers Fear. Yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, I'm just off the top of my head. I don't even have this written down. But when you think about the past, it's easy to come up with a title. When it comes to the future, which is something that hasn't happened yet, you have to create it in your imagination first. And the reason why I think a lot of people don't do it is they're afraid of failure. You know, let's face it. If I said to you, come up with a title for 2020 about your life, you can easily come up with something in 5 minutes, right? Because the year is over and you can just reflect on it. But when I say to you, where are you going to be on December 31st, 2021? Well, I don't know what's going to happen to me. Are you saying you're going to base your whole life on external circumstances, the weather, the media, what happens to you from other sides or other things that you can't control? Then you're not in control. So it's not that easy. It's not easy to create something in the future because you have to rely on your imagination because it hasn't happened yet, right? So here's the question. If you had to create a title of a movie based on your life for the next 12 months, what would the title be? So what this is called in neurolinguistic programming is future pacing. You're basically creating something in your imagination and you're putting it out there, right? And then you're moving towards it. Now, this is a fun exercise. Maybe it's a good 15, 20-minute conversation killer. You could be doing something else, but you're listening to this. But what if you listen to this every single day? Or better yet, you listen to what you wrote down every day. So whatever you wrote down for what would be the title of your movie for 2021, what if you looked at that every single day? You looked at that title, your title, not my title, not this podcast, but your title. Every single day, 365 days out of the year, you simply looked at your title of what you hope to live in this year. What would that do to you? It would prime you to make that happen. It would condition you to make that happen. Like, for instance, if you wrote down something really bad and negative, you probably wouldn't want to look at it. You're like, oh, why would I write down I'm going to die of cancer and have a miserable death? What? No, there's no way in the world I'm writing down misery loves company and ends in cancer, death. You would never write that down, right? And then if I said to you, you have to write it down, and then you have to look at it every day, you go, no, I'm not going to look at it. I go, why? You're just looking at some words on a piece of paper. It doesn't mean it. No, you don't understand. If I look at that every day, I might make it happen. Okay. So if that's true, why couldn't you put down something else, something positive, and actually make that happen? So this is the power of the mind. If you haven't read my ebook, go to gregdwyerebook.com, download it, share it. They say sharing is caring, caring is sharing. But it all has to do with visualization. Anybody that's ever created anything began with a thought, began with visualization. They created it first in their mind, and then they made it happen. That's the key. So if a movie was made about your life in this year, 2021, what would it be? What would the title? I want you to think about that. So the reason I'm bringing this up, and I always bring this up around the end of December, beginning of January, is because every end of the year, beginning of the new year, I think about this stuff. I reflect upon this. I take a few days off. I do nothing. I reflect. I think. I meditate. And I think on paper. That's really important. I think on paper. So we got a few exercises I want to share with you before the end of this call, which is in about 20 minutes. The first exercise is what is called the Wheel of Life. And you probably have heard me talk about this before. If you've ever been to a personal growth seminar or a time management seminar, you probably have heard about this. But it's good to do it again. It's not something you just do and forget about. So here's how it works. think of some categories of your life that you would like to improve. Now, every single one of us has the category of health or well-being, right, or fitness or weight loss or wherever that is, right? We also have the category of wealth or finances, right? So we have to consider our health as one aspect. We have to consider our finances as another. Maybe career would be another. Maybe spirituality would be another. Maybe time management would be another. Last week we talked about time and time management. But there's only so many categories that a person has to manage. You know, they got to manage their household. They got to manage their health. They got to manage their finances. They got to manage their career. There's only probably, 5, 6, 7, maybe 12 areas of your life that you have to focus on and make better. Now, when it comes to-do lists, oh my gosh, you can have a million things. You know, you got to make phone calls. You got to call the DMV. You got to do this. I mean, there's millions of things that you have to do. I'm not talking about millions of things. I'm talking about categories that you have to focus on to some extent. And if you don't focus on it, like your health or your finances, there's going to be consequences that you probably are not going to like. So you draw a circle, and then you divide the circle into slices like a pizza pie. So you divide it vertical line, horizontal line, and then you put a couple other lines in it. Maybe you got 5 slices or 6 slices or 8 slices. Each one of those slices is a category. So the outside of the circle is rated as a 10. The inside of the circle, the tip of all the pizza pie tips, is a 0. So if you have one slice of pie called health, right, for the year 2021, maybe you say, well, I'm not doing that bad. I think I'm a 5. So you would fill in that pizza pie slice halfway, right? Maybe finances, you're doing really well. You paid off your debt, you're investing in money, you're debt-free or whatever. So maybe you're a 9 or a 10 in that area. Or maybe you're in debt, so you put yourself down as a 3. This is completely subjective. But what I love about the Wheel of Life is that it is subjective. And it's not necessarily based on reality. Because, listen, you could be sitting down filling out this pizza pie, this Wheel of Life, and put down that, you're a 5 on the wheel of finances. And somebody from Fiji who makes $5 a week would say, gosh, if I were you, I'd see that as a 10. My goodness, you live in America, you have Social Security, you have a job, you have this, you have a roof over your head. My goodness, you're a rich person, right? Even though you think you're just making ends meet. So in other words, all of this is just subjective. It's relative, depending on who looks at it. So you're going to have 2 people sitting side by side, and they're going to rate things completely different. And depending on your mood, if you're in a terrible mood or you're fearful, you're full of anxiety, you're going to fill this out differently than if you were really happy, So this is a good snapshot to figure out where you are in your life. And I'm really going to encourage you to do this. It's really simple to do. It's easy to do. It's easy not to do. All you do is you draw a circle, and then you divide the circle into different slices like a pizza pie. If you had 8 people over, you divide the circle into 8 slices. If you had 8 categories, like, for instance, physical, wealth, relationships, career, spiritual, what else? Friendships, marriage, parenthood. I think that's 8, right? So you come up with your own categories, and then you rate yourself in each category. Now, ideally, you want your wheel to be all 10s. It's not possible. I have never met anybody that says, I'm a 10 spiritual, I'm 10 in my career, 10 in relationship, 10 in wealth, 10 physical. It's just, we tend to focus on a few things, and then we let other things go. So what this is a snapshot for you, and I do this every year. Sometimes I do it twice a year, to say, hey, these are categories in my life that have really worked for me. And the reason why they worked for me is because I focused on them. I focused on the physical this year. I focused on this, or I focused on the financial this year. And that's the reason why I'm doing really well in those areas. But you know what? There's a couple of areas I probably need to focus on. Got to stop eating ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. I got to stop doing that, right? Or maybe I need to start flossing my teeth every day. So this is a subjective exercise. The first step is to say, here's where I am, right? And then you say to yourself, what do I want to improve? Rather than writing out a list of goals and saying, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you wake up on the 5th of January and you don't do any of it, all right? So this is this is something to get you engaged. Maybe you can use different colors. Maybe you can use purple for spirituality, green for finances, yellow for physical, and you just color it out, and maybe you put it on your mirror or something. So you're looking at it every single day. And along with that, you're looking at the title of your play, the title of your movie, the title of your book. Remember, if a book or a title or a movie was made about your life in the year 2021, hopefully the name of the book would not be The Train Wreck, right? You don't want that. You want something positive. You want something lighthearted. You want something that reflects how you think this year is going to go. Internally, that is. We can't control outward things. We can't control what happens in Washington. We can't control what happens in the media. We can't control other people and the weather. But we certainly can control maybe going for a walk every day. Maybe we can control not eating sugar every day. Maybe we can control not watching the media every day. Maybe we can control not buying stuff every day, on Amazon or wherever it is. We have certain things that we can focus on. So here's the other thing I want to switch to, but before I do that, I want to go to a commercial. But I'm looking at my commercials, and it looks like they are vacant. So I'm actually going to, let me just push a button here and see if they show up. No, they don't. So I cannot go to a commercial. I'm going to continue speaking for the next 13 minutes here. All right, so the second section is questions. And these are a few questions that will help you to get anchored on the next year going forward, or I should say this year going forward. Now, some of these questions are pretty crazy. Don't shoot the messenger. But the first question is, and if you're writing this down, I'll go really slow. First question is, what did you love about 2020? You're like, nothing. All right, listen, that's a knee-jerk, reaction. Obviously, people would say they didn't like anything about the year 2020. I have to confess, there are certain things that I loved about 2020. I know it's not popular, and I know Anderson Cooper wouldn't have me on CNN to talk about it, but there are a few things that have happened in my life in 2020 that I'm happy about. That, and I don't want to rub it in people's face, but they did, if you look for something, you can find it. If someone said to you, come on, you got to find something, can you just pick something? You'd be amazed. You might be able to find something. So the first question is, what did you love about 2020? Here's another one. What did you accomplish in 2020? And you think, no, I didn't accomplish anything. Well, hey, wait a minute. Maybe you did. Maybe you did accomplish something. Write it down. So once you think about what you love, the second thing is you think about what you accomplished. Now, when you think about what you loved and anything that you accomplished, the next question is the third question. Is there anything that you loved last year, anything that you accomplished last year that you want to repeat this year? Like, for instance, if I was sitting down with a client and they said to me, you know what happened this year? Paid off my mortgage, or I paid off my credit card debt, or I lost 10 pounds, or I stopped eating chocolate, or whatever the thing is. And I'd say, all right, well, do you want to repeat that this year? Yeah. You know what? I did it for 12 months, and I want to stay out of debt this year. Most people think a habit takes 60 days. The truth is, 30 days. The truth is it takes over 66 days. So when I sit down with a client, or when I sit down with some of my goals, I say to myself, 3 months, 90 days. If there's something I want, like, for instance, this year, haven't bit my nails at all. Haven't even thought about biting my nails. And I've gone years, but with this whole pandemic thing, I thought, I'm not putting my fingers in my mouth. So I have not done that. I can't remember the last time I did that. I'm saying to myself, you know what? I have a habit for March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I'm not going to go back to biting my nails. It looks stupid. It's unhealthy. Makes me look unconfident, if that's a word, right? It makes me look nervous. I'm not doing it. You need at least 66 days to develop a habit. So give yourself 30 days, 90 days. Give yourself 3 months, January, February, March. Say to yourself, I'm not going to drink coffee for 3 months. I'm not going to have ice cream for 3 months. Or I'm not going to do this for 3 months. Or I'm going to stay out of debt. Paid off this thing. I took my Discover card, put it away. I'm not taking that Discover card out for at least 3 months because I got to create the habit in my mind. Let me give you an example. the last time I posted something on Facebook was, I think it was August 17th, 2020, which was last year, right? I found it very hard not to put stuff on Facebook. I always wanted to say stuff. I wanted to repost stuff. And what I did is I blocked myself so that anything that would go on Facebook would only be seen by me. So if I saw something I loved or if I wanted to put something out there, it never was shown because it was blocked. It was 100% private. So August goes by, September goes by, October, November. By the time November rolls in, which is 3 months, I totally forgot about posting stuff on Facebook. Like, I can't even be bothered. So one of the things I have done is basically kept myself off Facebook, and that's one of the things that I'm going to continue in the new year. So think about something that you want to accomplish in the new year, and you want to continue if you did it well in the last year. Here's another question, and you're going to love this one. What did you hate about 2020? Now, I'm sure you could write a book about this. What did you hate about 2020? I could tell you 100 things that I hated about 2020. What do you not want to have repeated again this year? Now, there are certain things that are out of your control, right? But I'll tell you something. One of my friends and I, we sat in front of the television most of March and April just listening to everybody, trying to figure things out and just absorbing CNN, NBC, CBS, Washington, D.C., and all this kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, okay, I get it. I'm not going to do that again. I hated that, and I'm not going to do it again. What decisions did you make in 2020 that were empowering to you and you might want to repeat this year as well? So maybe there were some decisions that you made. You said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to spend that much time with this person, or I'm going to leave my job, or I'm going to leave this, I'm going to do this. And maybe you want to do the same thing this year. Now, one of the things that I do every year, and I'll encourage you to do it as well, and you don't have to do it now, but you take out a piece of paper or you take out a journal page and you just write for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes if you want. Put on some relaxing music, shut off the phone, shut off your cell phone, shut off the television, and just sit down, and all you do is you simply write, right? You just write anything that you would like to have, be, or do in the next 10 years. Maybe you do it for 20 years. 10 years is easy. So it's January 2021, so we're looking at January 2031. That's a decade. Where has time gone? Time flies so quickly. So all you do is you take your pen out and you just free flow association to anything that you would like to do, be, or have. Maybe you want to travel to, I don't know, Connecticut. You want to go to New York. Maybe you want to go on a cruise. Maybe you want to meet the grandkids. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe go on a new boat. Maybe you want to, I don't know, today, maybe you just want to go out to a movie. When will that happen? Well, anyway, so you just start writing everything without filtering. Nobody's going to look at this. You're the only person. You can put crazy things down, and you just write all of this stuff down. Now, what's nice about this is if you do this every year, you start to see a pattern. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years. After a while, you start seeing the same things popping up, and you're like, okay, well, when am I going to get that to happen? I've been saying this for 5 years. It's about time I pulled the trigger on this, right? So after you write your list and you don't judge it, you simply look through your list and you write down what you think or how much time you're going to need to make this stuff happen, right? So maybe you have a list of 50 things on the piece of paper, and it's the old 80-20 rule. Not everything you write down is going to come true, right? Because a lot of what you write down never will happen. But what if a great percentage of the things that you do write down do happen? That's amazing. You got clarity. You got focused. You know what's important to you, This will help you write the story of your life, So then you put down 1 year, 5 years, and then you put down 10 years. You anticipate, hey, it's going to take me 10 years to do this. It's going to take me 5 years to do this. And hopefully you have enough things written down that you can have as 12-month goals. So maybe you say you want to buy a new car, but you don't see that happening for 5 years. Or maybe you say you want to move to Florida, but you don't see that happening until 10 years from now. But you see yourself losing 25 pounds this year. That's a 1-year goal. Or you see yourself, maybe getting out of debt. That's another, maybe you got $5,000 on a credit card, and you say, hey, this is the year I'm going to get out of it. Or maybe this is the year I'm going to invest in a Roth, or this is the year I'm going to start this or that. So you find the top 4 things that you are really excited about for 2021. And alongside the title of your movie, you put these 4 things and you look at them every day. Why is it important? Well, what do most people do? Most people, they come up with New Year's resolutions, or they don't. But if they do, they only look at it once a year. They're like, okay, I wrote this down, but I know I have no intention of doing anything about it. Probably not going to do anything about it. And they forget about it for how long? For 12 months. I mean, what are the chances of you getting that car, or going on that trip, or paying off that loan, or getting in shape, or doing whatever you want to do according to your wheel of life, if you only look at it once a year? I mean, the chances of you even moving towards it an inch is unlikely. But if you put down you want to lose 20 pounds this year, and you look at it every single year, and maybe the movie, the title of your life is Healthy Beach Body Shows Off. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever you want to put down. And you're looking at that every single day, and then you're looking at your top 4 goals every single day. It's going to drive you crazy if you're going to be eating ice cream at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. You're going to think to yourself, how am I going to pull this off if I'm going in one direction and I think I should be going in another direction? So I would really encourage you, not now because we only have 3 minutes left, but just to sit down when you have some quiet time, pull out a piece of paper, pull out a journal page, and just continually write everything that you can think about that you would like to see in the next 10 years. If you've got more time on your hands, maybe you can go out 15 or 20 years and just free flow and write it down. The other thing that I would highly recommend that has changed my life, I've been doing this since 2009, and I almost wish I began in the year 2000. Kind of was a late bloomer in this regard. I did some of it 2001, 2002, but I wasn't consistent. That was the key. And that is, it's really simple. It's journaling. Every single day, you write down 5 things that you're grateful for, or you write down 5 little words or 5 little sentences. It does take discipline, okay? I have a good friend of mine. We heard the same message at the same place, and he said, I like it. It looks interesting, but I just can't discipline myself every single day. Well, anything that you want to do is going to take discipline. It has to become a habit. And I don't know if I'm really that great as a disciplined person, as much as I cannot imagine going to sleep at night without writing something down. Now, sometimes I miss, I'm like, I don't want to bother, and I'll wake up the next morning and I'll play catch up for a day. No more than 2 days. I'm not perfect, but I don't let it go more than a day or 2. But every single day, you write down something that is magical for you, or you're grateful about, or something that you're happy about. Here's what's going to happen. In a year, you're going to have 5 times 365. Now, if I had time, I'd pull up my calculator and do the math, but it's a lot of stuff. And, sometimes when you don't feel like it, I'll tell you what I do. I put down water, clothing, shelter, heat, friendships, and I'm done and I go to bed, you know what I mean? But this is what's really important. If you do over a period of a year, here's the gift that you will be giving yourself. Can you imagine sitting down with this piece of paper or with this journal on December 31st, 2021, and you're looking through January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December, and you're looking through all of these entries? What I do, and I love this, is I spend New Year's Eve or around Christmas time just simply looking at this journal and then highlighting the top 100 things that have absolutely blown me away for the year. It puts you in a beautiful state. It puts you in a positive state, and your focus is on what you said you were going to do and what you experienced, rather than what the environment dictated to you. So at this point, I usually look for the commercial to play us out. If I knew the jingle, I would sing it for you, but I don't. It's a new outgo, so I'm just going to say to you from my heart, I wish you a great 2021. I can't believe I'm saying that. 2021. And I hope that you get focused and you make these things happen. So I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email at greg@gregdwyer.com and let me know. And if you haven't read my ebook, go to gregdwyerebook.com. Make it a great year. We'll talk to you next week. My guest next week is a surprise guest. You're going to have to come on to hear about it. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody.